I have an update on how things are going with my idiopathic intracranial hypertension, as well as possible Chiari malformation and CSF leak. It's taken me a while to post this update because I got really sick Sunday night with an MCAS flare-up from having some food that I don't frequently have that kept me pretty much locked in a bathroom for 36 hours. But anyways, so I got scheduled for an MRI for August 5th. That was the earliest they could get me in. It's like 7 p.m. in the evening. I didn't even know they did MRIs that late, like scheduled MRIs, but apparently they do. And for all of you who are telling me I needed to get a standing MRI, there's not one that exists close to me. And to me, it's more important that I get an MRI that's going to look to check me for Chiari malformation and possibly CSF leak than it is to like do all the delayed work of trying to find a standing MRI, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we're doing August 5th. I went to an appointment on Saturday with an optometrist. It was just at Eyeglass World. However, I really did like this dude. They dilated my eyes. They took pictures of my eyes. They checked, they did the glaucoma test for pressure. When he had my eyes dilated and looked at the pictures, he said that whether or not my optic nerve was swollen is inconclusive. And he explained to me, showing me the image and also telling me that that was essentially what he was seeing with my eyes dilated, is that my optic nerve is slightly inflamed. However, it's not as inflamed as people that they typically see with having a concerning swollen optic nerve that is like papilledema or even related to diabetes. And so then he went and looked back at, I had images taken there a couple of years prior, and the image there was the same. There hasn't been any increase in pressure on my optic nerve in the pictures, even though I have physically experienced symptoms of increased pressure, like increased tinnitus. I've been having a lot of headaches, pressure behind my eyes, and then also with the nasal drainage that we think is potentially CSF leak. So he told me, similar to this person, which I knew that this was a likelihood, but I wanted to see first if I could go to an eye doctor and if they could pick it up, if it was so swollen that they could pick it up through a just traditional dilated eye exam, because if that was the case, then I knew that we needed to progress things faster. And I was going to work with my neurologist to get a referral to a neurosurgeon for an LP, potentially, or to talk about different options for medications. But since he was not able to conclude anything from that, because he said it could possibly be just genetics, the way I was born, or it could be that I've had this intracranial pressure increase for several years now, which is a possibility, I had it back in 2022 and my previous images were taken, that I needed to go see an ophthalmologist specifically and get a referral from that, which my PCP did just put in a referral for an OCT scan, as well as having me take pictures of my images from 2022 and 2024 so I could take it to the ophthalmologist with me. I also am going to reach out to the ophthalmologist that I saw when I was on my parents' insurance up until a few years ago to see if I can get access to those records or those pictures so that I can compare them to what I'm having now to see if it is really just the way I was born or if there's been an increase in pressure or swelling on my optic nerve. Also, like many of you had suggested, getting a beta-2 transferrin test to test if the liquid coming from my nose is a CSF leak. When I told my neurologist that I thought that I was having symptoms consistent with that, she did put that order in. So on Friday, I went to the labs in my area and I asked them for the kit to take samples, and they literally had no idea what I was talking about. These people looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, yeah, my neurologist said she put in this order, that I could get it from any hospital in IU Health, because that's the network that I go to. And they were like, I've never heard of this before. So they pulled up the services where it tells them what the tests are, and they had to call the lab tech over, and basically they just gave me this empty sterile cup, which it's huge, by the way. And I was like, how much am I supposed to collect? Do I need to refrigerate it between collections? Because I don't have it dripping all the time. It's not constant. It's when I get up in the morning first thing, and then when I exercise, and then if I stand bent over for a long period of time, but I try to avoid that because it really does exacerbate my POTS symptoms. So then they gave me the phone number for the pathology lab, and I had to call them, and they had to give me information on how to collect it, how much I needed to collect. I have to collect 1 milliliter, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really hard to measure it, and it's like a giant, it's like a sterile cup that you'd use for a urine sample, okay? So I'm collecting as much as I can over this week, and then I'm going to take it back to be tested, and I'm supposed to refrigerate it between collections. They're aware that it's going to take me multiple times or multiple days potentially to collect this, and they said that was fine, that as long as the sample is under 2 weeks old, that's all they need. So hopefully I'm able to do that, like get enough this week to be able to take it in so then they can test it and we can hear back. I know that it can still come back as negative, as a false negative, which is, again, why I'm happy that we're having this brain MRI. I'm not sure if it's with contrast, without contrast, or if it's potentially both. I think it might be both because I'm pretty sure the last time I had a brain MRI, they did images without the contrast and then they put the contrast in and then they did them with contrast as well. And when I had an abdominal MRI when I was in the ER, they also did that. So I'll ask, when I'm getting ready for it, which one it's going to be. But as of right now, things have kind of like stalled out. I'm waiting for the ophthalmologist referral to get more information, really to like have them check further for the papilledema, as well as, waiting on this MRI.